Hey Neds, welcome back to Read by Redhead. If you're new here, I'm Martha, the Redhead, and it's been a while. In fact, it's now 2021, and I'm not going to get into the whole spiel of why I've not been here, but I just want to start this video off by saying I am back. I am committed to doing videos at least once a week, hopefully. I'm considering vlogging, but because I use my phone as a camera, it's not always practical, but we'll see. Also, I'm not in my usual setting, and that is because I have been spending the Christmas period with my support bubble, which is my mum in the northeast of England, but my flat with my lovely books and my background is in Edinburgh. And because Scotland went into lockdown and then England went into lockdown, at the moment I'm not able to travel back. Fingers crossed, I'll be moving back up just before university's due to restart so that I have my own space, my own time. But yes, for now, you're going to get some random blank backgrounds in my mum's house as I'm trying not to be loud and interrupt everybody else in the house. So today's video is my 21 releases for 2021. Except it's more than 21, but that's what I'm calling it. Also, if at any point you see me looking down, it's because I have my laptop here with all the synopsises and release dates, and I don't want to get those things wrong. So I've got all my notes just down here. So if I am looking down, it's not that I am not paying attention or I'm being distracted, which I often am distracted. This is legitimate. So before I get into my 21 for 21 releases, I have 3 releases that I have actually been lucky enough to already read, as well as a couple of books that we hope are coming out in 2021 or have like US releases but not UK's, and I didn't want to include them in the official list because there's no confirmation or set publisher or release date yet. So the first of the 2021 releases I have read is Princess at Heart by Connie Glynn. Now this is the 4th book in the Rosewood Chronicles series, and it comes out on the 18th of February. Now this series is one of my absolute favourites. It's very young YA. I would classify it as like proper teen, and it is wonderful. The first book basically starts with Lottie and Ellie, who are 2 very, very different girls. Lottie is pink and princessy and girly, but a normal girl at this school on a scholarship. And then you have Ellie, who is an actual princess, but hates all that stuff. She is kind of punky, alternative, hates the whole thing, but she went to school to escape being announced as the princess. And in the first book, they kind of swap places. The first one's called Undercover Princess, so kind of tells you it in the name. But from there, it just grows so much, and I never expected how deep and intricate this series would be. But it is without a doubt one of my favourites. It's super, super diverse. The queer rep in these books is wonderful, and the 4th book was no exception. But yes, that one comes out on the 18th of February, and I'm hoping to have a full makeup review of it because I have a lot to say. The second release that I've already read comes out on the 11th of March, and this is Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzales. Now, Sophie Gonzales wrote Only Mercy Devastated, which was kind of gay Grease and came out in 2020. I loved that, so I thought I'd really enjoy her next book. Didn't think it would break me and I would love it to the level that I do. And this one I will have a full video on when it's due to come out. I'm probably going to cry when I talk about what it means to me. So before I kind of witcher about how much I love it, this book is about Darcy, and Darcy for years has been running this locker at her school, and for money people send her relationship advice questions and she replies anonymously. However, her anonymity, I can't say that word. Her anonymity gets broken when Broham, I think that's how you say his name, spots her. And he basically blackmails her and says he'll reveal who she is if she doesn't agree to help him get his ex back. Now, that sounds really cool, really quirky. more importantly, this book has the best bisexual representation I have ever read. It explained things that me as a bisexual woman have been unable to put into words my whole life. It's phenomenal. I will get into it more later. But also a really exciting thing with this book was that this was the first time I ever got one of those like bookseller reviews. So I did my full Goodreads review, 5 stars, duh, and the publisher Hachette turned it into one of those promotional pieces. And even better, for Christmas, my dad got me that framed. And like, look at it. It is adorable, and this to me as a present meant so much to me. I can't wait to be back with my bookcases where I can display this, and of course display a finished copy of the book when it actually comes out. But yeah, this is how much this book means to me and how much I think everyone needs to read it. So 11th of March, perfect on paper. Do it, please. And the final book that I have already read that's due out this year is The Edge of the Ocean, which is the second Strangeworlds travel agency book by L.D. Lapinski. This comes out on 15th of April, and this is actually a middle grade story, which for me is quite different, and I still have my proof copy here because it arrived just before Christmas and I read it in one night. This is such a fantastic series. It's super diverse, it's really adventurous, and basically the first book follows Flick, who moves to a new town, and in this new town she comes across this weird travel agency, and when she goes in she meets Jonathan and basically uncovers that all the suitcases in this travel agency are portals to new worlds. And a lot of stuff occurs, a lot of misadventure, a lot of issues, but it is fantastic. And the second book I may even prefer to the first one. The new characters were wonderful, the pirate setting was really good fun, and I can't wait for this to be released so everyone else can enjoy it as much as I did. And now on to the books that don't have a release date or an official publisher or various reasons that I can't give a set date for them for 2021. And these are all books that I am praying and hoping come out this year and come out in the UK so I can get a hold of them easily. But yeah, they are very exciting releases, just with no set information yet. And the first one is Bedazzled by Ryan Lasala, and this is first because it's out. It came out in America and there is no official UK publisher announced. However, we did have this issue with Reverie, Ryan's first title, where we were doing an event with him, and to get the book at our store we had to actually import it, and it took a while and was a bit of a stressful process. So I'm assuming the same's going to be for his second book, but I'm probably just going to have to order it online and get it shipped here. But Bedazzled is pitched as Project Runway goes to Comic-Con, and frankly that's all I need to know. Like, that sounds amazing. Ryan is such like a bouncy, excitable character, and his excitement about this book being released, if nothing else, made me know I needed it. The second one on this list is one I'm really excited about and also quite curious about it, and that is All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. Now, if you've seen some of my videos before, I have mentioned Christine Lynn Herman's duology, The Devouring Grey, quite a few times. It was fantastic. It blew me away. As I have said many times, the bi representation was wonderful, and I've also heard nothing but amazing things about Amanda Foody. I've not read any of her books myself yet, but I have an ever-growing TBR and her books have been on it for at least 2 years now. But yes, this is a collaboration book by them, and I'm just going to read like straight from the synopsis because this sounds so cool. So the synopsis starts with, you fell in love with the victors of the Hunger Games, now prepare to meet the villains of the Blood Veil. And it says that after the publication of a salacious tell-all book, the remote city of Ilvanath is thrust into worldwide spotlight. Tourists, protesters and reporters flock to its spell shops and ruins to witness an ancient curse unfold. Every generation, 7 families name a champion among them to compete in a tournament to the death. The winner awards their family exclusive control over the city's high magic supply, the most powerful resource in the world. and there's a bit more, but this video is going to be long enough as it is. And basically the last line of the synopsis says, "But this is a story that must be penned in blood." Like, I need it. I need it. I need it confirmed, and I need a date so I can pre-order it. I need this book. Now, I think it will come out in the UK because both Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman's books have been published in the UK. But at the moment there is no set release date, and I couldn't find a confirmed publisher online, so I'm just going to sit here with all my fingers crossed and wait until I find out more. Now, I mentioned Sophie Gonzales earlier as the author of Only Mostly Devastated and the upcoming Perfect on Paper, but she's been busy and also has a third book due to be released this year called Off the Record. Now, this book is also written in collaboration with Cole Dietrich. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. All the names and everything's in the description, so if I mispronounce an author's name, you can read it there and have a go at me and tell me I'm an idiot. But this sounds really cool. Not only is it written by now one of my favourite authors, but it is about a boy band. And within this boy band, two of the main singers are in love with each other. They've started a relationship, but they're forced to keep it secret by like their management. And this to me sounds fantastic. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, uber queer, everything we want. And you know, both of her other books have been published by Hachette over here, so I'm hoping this one will be too. As far as I could see, there was no official word on it yet. And my final book that does not have a publication date is one that I've seen on a lot of 2021 releases videos, and that is the second book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. I need this. I needed this earlier this year when I read the first one. Like, earlier in 2020 when I read the first one. The first book was fantastic. It followed Bryce, who is not the nicest of characters, but she has a traumatic thing happen early in the book and then is forced into becoming part of an investigation to solve a crime. And in that investigation, she is made to team up with this fallen angel called Hunt. Now, in the synopsis of the book, it actually told you what the kind of traumatic event would be, but because I had a proof copy of the first Crescent City, I never read the synopsis and I didn't know, and if you haven't read it yet, I'd recommend not. Go into it blind, don't know what the early twist is going to be, because it shocked me. And honestly, I did not expect to love this book as much as I did, but because I did, I cannot wait for book two. Like, book one ended at such a point where I was just desperate for book two already. Now, from what I can see, Bloomsbury have confirmed it is coming this year, hopefully, but there is no set release date yet, and like no cover or anything like that, so all of us Sarah J. Maas people are just gonna sit over here with our fingers crossed and hope we get it soon. So, after all my preamble of other books I'm excited about, I'm now getting into my 21 for 2021 releases, and I've done them by month just because I think that's the most logical way and the easiest way to keep track of them. And the first book on my list actually got released the day I'm filming it today, the 7th of January, and that is Law by Alexandra Bracken. Now, this has been highly anticipated because Alexandra Bracken is the author of the Darkest Minds series, amongst others. She is really beloved, and the story for this sounds amazing. Basically, every 7 years, the kind of Greek gods go into this sort of challenge, and then they're in the mortal world, and people are hunting them. Honestly, the synopsis hurt my brain a little bit, but I heard Greek gods, challenge, fight, and mortal world, and I was like, give it to me now. I was actually super lucky and have early NetGalley access to this, but I very easily figured out that this is going to be the book in my January Owl Crate, and I think I want to wait so that I can read that beautiful hardcover. But yeah, it's myths, it's urban fantasy, and it looks fantastic. Also, the cover art in the UK is absolutely stunning. And the second book for 2021 is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. We're getting new Angie Thomas. I am so excited about this. So this, if you don't know, is the third book set in Garden Heights, which is basically the world of The Hate You Give. Now, The Hate You Give followed Star Carter and her story in relation to the Black Lives Matter movement and police brutality. But within that book, we met Star's family, and in particular, her father, Maverick. And Concrete Rose is kind of historical, although I think it's set in the 90s, and I don't want to call the 90s historical because I was born then. But it's historical as it follows Mav back when he is a 17-year-old wrapped up in world of drug dealing and gangs, but also becoming a father. And I adore Angie Thomas so much. I've met her, I've interviewed her, I've read both of her books that are out already. She is just wonderful, and I cannot wait to see what she does with Mav's story. And the only thing that disappoints me is that I pre-ordered this. Oh, forgot to say it comes out 12th of January. 12th of January, probably just after this video goes live. But yes, I pre-ordered this months ago, but it's being sent to my flat in Edinburgh.
Editing, Martha here. So I changed my mind, and rather than waiting for my Edinburgh pre-order, I cancelled it, re-pre-ordered it to come to here to Sunderland, and it arrived today, and I'm so excited. And it's beautiful. The Waterstones exclusive edition has the sprayed edges, and yeah, I just thought I'd end it and say I've got it, and it's really exciting.
Now, I've already mentioned how much I really love mythology and mixing of that. And the next book on my list is middle grade mythology, and that is How to Be a Hero by Cat Weldon, which comes out on the 21st of January. Now, this is another one that I got a proof of and was super lucky, but it's trapped in my locker at work, and due to lockdown, furlough, all that fun stuff, I can't get access to it. So I'm hoping to get a copy when it comes out. But as much as I know about this, it is Vikings, it's Norse mythology, it's the start of a trilogy, and it just looks like it's going to be really good fun. My friend Sam was reading it, and it looked like he was having a great time. I haven't asked him too much because I tend to ask questions that lead to spoilers, and I don't want to put my friends in those positions. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be a really explosive new series for middle grade. And the final January release that I am super excited for is The Mask Falling by Samantha Shannon. Now, I have an odd story with this series, which is when Bone Season first came out, I read it. I got it on my Kindle at the time because I was on holiday and I couldn't carry all the books I needed to read, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, but at the time, it was the only book out, and for some reason, I left it there. I never followed on with the series, I never continued reading it, and I just kind of never picked it up. I've, for the past 2 years, been considering it, but they are chunky books, and I just was a bit intimidated. And my friend Adele listened to the audiobook and very instantly messaged me and said, "Martha, it's an Irish narrator. You need this." And she was right. It was fantastic, and at the end of 2020, going into the start of 2021, I read all 3 books as well as the prequel Pale Dreamer, and I became obsessed. And this was perfect timing because book 4 is finally coming out soon. Now, I can't tell you what book 4 is about because it would majorly spoil the last 3 books, but the series as a whole is basically a sort of dystopian future where the world is split into voyants and amerotics. And amerotics are just normal people, but the voyants have abilities to do with the mind, to do with this thing called the ether. And honestly, I can't explain it very well because somehow Samantha Shannon makes it make sense, and when I try and explain it, it sounds like bollocks. But it's wonderful, and I adore Paige, and the romance just... It's a very me romance. It's kind of enemies to lovers. There's a lot of angst. It's fantastic. And book 4 is going to be set somewhere else. Again, don't want to tell you just in case. But yes, it's set somewhere else. And I think it's going to be wonderful. And I need it. I cannot wait. It gets released on the 26th of January, which already feels too far away. But like the rest of probably the BookTube, Book Twitter, book blogger, bookstagrammer community, I am excited. To kick off my February 2021 releases is one that I have seen non-stop talk about across the book community, and that is The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna, which gets released on the 3rd of February. Now, this book, A, has an absolutely beautiful cover. Like, I am obsessed with it. It is stunning. And B, sounds so original and unique, and I can't wait to dive into it. Basically, it is a West African based fantasy, and I'm just going to read a snippet of the official synopsis. And it basically says West African inspired ancient kingdom under an oppressive patriarchal rule. The book follows 16-year-old Dika, who lives in like a town society where a woman's worth is tied to her purity and she must bleed to prove it. But when Dika bleeds gold, the colour of impurity, of a demon, she faces a consequence worse than death. What? Demons bleeding gold? And then, from what I can gather, she has to go on a quest, like, to discover her destiny. This, to me, just sounds like it's going to be fantastic. And fantasy really was what got me through reading in 2020. And the prospect of brand new YA fantasy has me so excited. And speaking of fantasy, the next book, which I'm sure a lot of people are aware is coming out and are excited, is A Court of Silver Flames, which is by Sarah J. Maas and comes out on the 16th of February. Now, if you don't know, this is the fourth proper book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, but whereas the first three books and kind of the novella followed Feyre, this follows her sister Nesta. And I am Sarah J. Maas trash. There are issues with her books, I will accept that, but I also love them, and I am not going to say it's a guilty pleasure because I have no guilt. I love them. They're great fun. I reread every single Sarah J. Maas book by audiobook in 2020, and I have no shame about that. It was great. So for me, the excitement over a brand new book in this series is up here, and I managed to pre-order the signed exclusive edition, and I just can't wait. I'm so excited to be back in this world with these characters. And the final book being released in February on this list is called A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth, and it's released on the 25th of February. Now, this is one I hadn't really heard anything about. If I'd have made this video a month ago, this book would not have been on it. But then slowly but surely I've been hearing more about it and have become so excited. Like, the synopsis pictures it as like City of Bones meets something else, but it's basically uber queer urban fantasy, and yeah, that's all I needed to know I need this. As far as I can tell, it might feature some found family because it follows kind of four main characters, but also the cover is beautiful, and I'm a sucker for a beautiful cover, so it's pretty, it's queer, and it's magical. I don't have anything else to say. Now, for March, I just have two releases, both of which are very, very highly anticipated sequels in the YA community. And the first is released on the 2nd of March, and that is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. Now, I can't believe we're getting this book so soon. And it doesn't actually feel soon, because I remember reading Chain of Gold and thinking this was so far away, but now I'm like, it's within my grasp. It's not too far away, we can get to it. And if you don't know, this is a prequel sequel within the Mortal Instruments world. At some point I may do a video all about Mortal Instruments series and stuff, because I love them so much, but also trying to explain them to people can be really difficult without like a diagram. But yeah, Chain of Gold followed a very different cast of characters who were the children of the characters from the Infernal Devices, and it followed them who had kind of grown up without war, without all this conflict that we're used to seeing in the Shadowhunter world, and then conflict found them and issues. But it is fantastic. It has brilliant queer representation, like absolutely wonderful. I ended up writing about the representation on it for one of my final pieces in my bachelor's degree in English Lit, because it's set in the Edwardian era but is still queer as hell, and it mashes it so beautifully. And I just can't wait for Chain of Iron. Like, I think anybody who's read Chain of Gold is like me and is like, can I have the sequel, please, Cassandra Clare? We need it. So yeah, that is that's probably one of my most anticipated for the whole year, because I just cannot wait to be back with those characters. And the other anticipated sequel coming out in March is coming out on the 30th of March, and that is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. Now, this is the sequel to King of Scars. I believe it's like the end of the King of Scars duology, but it is part of the overall Grishaverse world. And I love these books. I've physically read them, I've done them by audiobook. I think they're fantastic. And King of Scars in particular, because it followed Nikolai, Zoya, and Nina. I thought they were all brilliant characters to give time and space to, and I cannot wait to find out more. Also, the end of King of Scars was brutal and was an awful cliffhanger to leave us on for so long that I need Rule of Wolves. I need it now. Again, it's Leigh Bardugo. The cover's stunning. Like, her cover artist team are fantastic because they are always beautiful. But yes, I have a pre-order already in, and this is again another very, very highly anticipated release for 2021. Speaking of anticipated releases for 2021, going into April, the first book on my list is one that I wasn't really aware of when it got announced, but over the end of 2020, it has been talked about non-stop. And I can see why by the synopsis. And this is Witches Steeped in Gold by Ciannon Smart. I don't know whether it's like Shannon or Ciannon, I'm sorry. But yeah, Ciannon Smart, and it comes out on the 20th of April. But it is a witches-based fantasy. It deals with concepts of like freedom, revenge. It looks really kind of dark and twisty, which is exactly what I like. And yeah, it's just been the hype around it that's got me excited and made me put it on this list, because if that many people are excited and loving it, it has to be good. The next book for April comes just 2 days later on the 22nd, and that is Kate in Waiting by Becky Albertalli. I'm so excited. I love Becky Albertalli. I know people have their issues with her books, and I can understand some of the criticisms, but personally I adore them. And Kate in Waiting just sounds like loads of good fun. It basically follows these two best friends, Kate and Andy, who they share everything together. They're major theatre nerds. And then one day their joint mutual crush joins their school. And I can just envision this is going to cause loads of drama, loads of angst, loads of friendship questions, and questions of romance over like platonic love. And I'm just excited. I love Becky Albertalli, and I know this is going to be good. The final book for April is one I actually kind of forgot was being released this year, and then the minute I remembered, I freaked out quite a lot. And that is The Nobleman's Guide to Shipwrecks and Scandals by Mackenzi Leigh. This comes out on the 29th of April, and it is the third book in the Montague siblings series. I think that's what it's officially called. In my head, it's the Gentleman's Guide series. But yeah, it basically follows the youngest Montague sibling, Adrian. And from what I can gather from the synopsis, because reading the synopsis yesterday blew my mind, Adrian is now grown up. He is due to be, he's now heir of the estate. He's due to inherit this, but he also suffers really badly from hysteria, which makes society question whether he's worthy. And in that process, he actually learns about his other two siblings. And this was the bit that blew my brain, because when we first met Adrian, he was known as Goblin. He was a baby, and it never occurred to me that his parents would hide Monty and Felicity's existence from him. But oh my god, that sounds great. And from what I can gather, this book is going to have a lot of Monty in it, because Adrian basically decides that, oh, if I've got older siblings, they can take over the estate, and he goes on a journey to find Monty. As far as I can gather, it's also going to deal with some grief because their mother's passed away, and I love this series. I think it's fantastic. The audiobooks are particularly well read, and I cannot wait for more. I thought I was getting near the end and realised I was only at May. But yes, May is kicking off on the 1st of May with The Infinity Files by S.M. Wilson. Now, this was actually recommended by my friend Cora when I asked on Twitter, are there any 2021 releases I'm missing? I need to know. And the minute I read the synopsis, I knew she was right. And without literally sitting reading the synopsis of this, because this video is really long, it is a YA sci-fi, and it looks like it's a YA sci-fi that deals with kind of sort of crime, and it has like family, questions of home, and it just looks fantastic. The cover is beautiful, and I know S.M. Wilson wrote the Extinction Trials series, which I never read, but a lot of my friends absolutely adored and raved constantly about, so they must be a good author, and I can't wait to give a new sci-fi a go, because it's not a genre I read very often, but when I do, I love it, so I'm hoping this will be a really good one. And then we have the 13th of May. And the 13th of May is a day that might kill me off, because there are 3 super, super, super exciting releases all coming out on the same day. Now, the first is Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. If you don't know what Heartstopper is, have you been living under a rock? It's everywhere. It's fantastic, and it deserves every second of chat and hype that happens. But basically, Heartstopper follows Nick and Charlie and their dog Nellie, because we can't leave out Nellie, who go to an all-boys school and they fall in love and form a relationship. But this is Volume 4, and I need more Heartstopper in my life, always. And Alice Oseman is a fantastic writer. She's a brilliant illustrator for the graphic novels. And yeah, I've already pre-ordered my signed edition because I can't wait for it. Following that, another auto-buy favourite author who's releasing on the same day is Holly Bourne with her new book, The Yearbook. Now, Holly Bourne for me is an auto-buy author. She releases a book, I will get it, and I will read it, and I will probably love it. This one sounds really, really good fun. It's pitched as like Perks of Being a Wallflower meets Mean Girls. It's about a girl who is sick of the lies and rumours at her school taking over. So she decides to rewrite the yearbook, but with truth, and kind of isn't afraid of what's going to happen because of that. I think this is going to be very much like teen end of YA, but a lot of good fun. And knowing Holly Bourne, it will cover deeper topics, even when being kind of lighter and about drama. And the final book I'm excited for, being released on 13th of May, is Bookishly Ever After by Lucy Powery. Now, this is the third and I believe final book in the Paper and Heart Society series, which basically follow different members of this book club called the Paper and Heart Society. Now, this one is particularly exciting for 2 main reasons. Well, kind of 3, but the first 2 are linked. So the first 2 reasons is because it follows Ed, who is such a cool character. I can't wait to kind of get his perspective on things. But more importantly, Ed gets a job in a bookshop, and he learns that being a bookseller isn't as easy as being a bookshopper, and that you don't sit around and read all day, because I hate when people tell me that's what I do. And I am so excited to read a book with a bookseller as a main character, and I think Lucy Powery will have really well captured this. But my third and probably most exciting reason that I cannot wait for this book to be released is that there's a character with my name in it. And this is not a coincidence. Hachette, who are publishing the book, ran a competition amongst booksellers to win a character named after them in the book. And I'm no way affiliated with the character. They're not based on me or my personality at all. It's just my name being used, but it's so exciting. And basically, to win, we had to explain in a tweet, which is not very many words, why we love bookselling. And then Lucy read them all, but she read them anonymously, so she didn't know who'd given what answer, and picked her favourite. And I freaked out the day I found out I'd won this. It's such an exciting thing to happen for one of my favourite series by such a fantastic author. I can't wait, and it's going to be so exciting to read this book, and even more just to be like, that's my name. That's Martha. Yep, see, when you read that book and you read Martha, think of me. Yep. And if the 13th of May wasn't big and busy enough, there is another May release for 2021 that I'm excited about. And that is Threadneedle by Carrie Thomas, and it comes out on the 27th of May. Now, I was super lucky and have a proof of this. It is just sitting in my flat in Edinburgh. But it's fine, I have months to read this one. And basically this is an adult fantasy, but it is set in London, and the synopsis is quite long, so I'm not going to dive into it. But the bit that hooked me is it says that within the streets of London lies another city, one filled with magic. And I cannot wait. There is a tagline like in the synopsis that says love and magic, magic and love, they destroy everything in the end. Like, that sounds perfect. Sorry if any angles or sound have changed. Perk of being at home, we take turns cooking tea, but I mistimed it and my tea was ready. So I'm back, I've eaten, and I'm continuing on. So I believe I was up to June. We're getting near the end of my 21 for 2021 list. And June kicks off with a really exciting release, which is the next book by Simon James Green. And this one's called You're the One That I Want, and is released on the 3rd of June. Now, I've mentioned earlier in this video a book called Only Mostly Devastated, which was pitched as Gay Grease. Well, this is another Gay Grease, and I'm here for all the Gay Grease retellings, I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, that's all I really know about it. And that's all I need to know. Like, I love Simon James Green. In particular, his book Alice in Wonderland was fantastic. I've also been really privileged to have interviewed him when I interviewed a Pride panel at my work, and he's so lovely, such a genuine, nice guy. And I don't know why, I just find that, like, if I know the author's nice, I appreciate their books more. I don't know whether that's just me, but it's a personal thing. But yeah, he is fantastic. As I say, I love his previous books. They're often really funny, but at the same time heartfelt. And romances is something he is fantastic at. So I'm so excited for this Gay Grease coming out. And the other release for June that I am really, really excited about comes out on the 10th of June. And this is Ace of Spades by, and I am so sorry if I'm going to butcher this name. I have looked it up, tried to figure out how to say it, and I think I'm still getting it really wrong, but I'm going to try. I'll also pop the name on the screen just so if I have really butchered it, you still know who I'm talking about. But it is, I'm going to pop this here so I can read. So yeah, it's Ace of Spades, written by Farida Abike Liamide. Farida Abike Liamide, I think. And I can say I am extremely sorry if I have got that wrong. I've tried looking it up, and there seems to be many different ways that other like booktubers and stuff have pronounced it. But more importantly than me being useless is how amazing this book sounds. Like, I have heard nothing but amazing things about this book on Twitter. Also, hats off to the marketing team for this book. Like, I am so jealous of every single person that has a proof of this, because not only is the cover kind of Ace of Spades, you know, card game themed, but the proofs have been released looking like they come in a box of cards. It's genius marketing, and as I say, it's just made me even more jealous and more excited for the book, which is exactly the point. But this is marketed as an explosive thriller set in an exclusive high school. Basically, this is a school full of privilege and issues, and within that there is now an anonymous texter called Aces who reveals the secrets of two pupils of the school. I love this sort of thing. I love the drama, the angst. It kind of reminds me of like Pretty Little Liars-esque stuff. But even better, this book apparently addresses institutionalized racism, which as a white person is something I feel like I can always learn more about. But yeah, I say I've seen this book all over book Twitter, and I cannot wait to give it a go. June seems very far away though. And we're into the last month of my 21 for 2021. No, I'm not stupid. Yes, I know that the year does not end in July, but apparently the publishing dates we get in advance do. So there are two final books on my list. So book 20 is one of my most anticipated for this year. It's another sequel, and it comes out on the 6th of July. And this is Any Way the Wind Blows by Rainbow Rowell. I cannot wait. Now, if you don't know, this book is the third book in the Carry On series, which Carry On started as kind of a spin-off from the book Fangirl. Now, Fangirl to me meant a lot to me. It really shaped me and helped me through like the start of university, end of A-levels. It meant a lot to me. And then I read Carry On, which is just really good fun. It's a flipping of the chosen one trope. It's gay. It's like urban magic. It's fantastic. And nobody expected a sequel. And then we got Wayward Son and an announcement of a third book all at once, which was very overwhelming at the time. And also the synopsis for this book has scared me slightly. Like, I'm just going to read you this one line from the synopsis. There's a whole like plot synopsis on like the link down below, but this was just the one line that sent dread into my heart. And it says, "Anyway the wind blows takes the gang back to England, back to Watford, and back to their families for their longest and most emotionally wrenching adventure yet. This book is a finale. It tells secrets and answers questions and lays ghosts to rest." Like, oh, it sent chills at me and also terrified me because it says it's emotionally wrenching, and my emotions are too easily wrenched and broken. And I have a feeling I'm going to need a box of tissues and a blanket when this comes out, because I'm anticipating being left in tears. Switching from me dying of emotions to the final book, the 21st book on my list for 2021, is Afterlove by Tanya Bayan, and this comes out on the 22nd of July. And the reason I said I'm going from me dying to the final book is because this is a book with a dead character. And yeah, but more importantly, the cover. Look at it. It's beautiful. The minute I saw this cover, I knew I needed this book. Like, it was that simple. So yes, that's it. Those are my 21 for 2021 releases with some add-ons. So 21-ish. That's what I'm going to call it. 21-ish releases for 2021. I hope you're as excited as me for this upcoming year of books. I think this is going to be a fantastic publication year, especially because there are a lot of books that were due to be released in 2020 that got pushed back due to pandemic and issues in the production line. I just think this is going to be such a wonderful year, and I really hope that I can read more new releases this year than I did last year. It feels necessary. But yes, that is the end from me. Please comment down below and let me know if there are books that I've missed that you're super excited about. I need to grow my ever-growing massive TBR. Like, adding more books to that list isn't going to cause problems at all. But I still need them, please tell me. So yeah, if you've made it all the way to the end of this, thank you so much. And as I say, I had a break, but I'm back, and I'm determined to be back, even if it means sitting on my bed in my mum's house. I'm just happy to be doing this again and to be back with you guys. So yeah, all the normal stuff. Please like, subscribe, and as I say, let me know about your anticipated 2021 releases. And I will see you again soon for some more bookish content.